Hi, and welcome to another video by Get It Done Home Repairs. Today I'm going to show you how to correct the problem where a door sticks when you open it or close it. So let me show you what this door is doing, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to go about correcting it. There's a couple of different ways you can do it. There's two different ways you can do it. One, we can take a plane and we can plane down this portion of the door right up on top here. I don't know if you can see that. Let's take a look up there and see. You see the top of the door right up here? You see how it's worn down? This part of the door is touching into the frame over here. So we could take a plane and plane down some of this here, so it'll actually increase the distance. But one thing you want to do before you actually do that is check this very simple fix first. This is what the door is doing. You got to push it to get it to close. And the same thing to open it, you got to push it to open it. All right, so what you're going to do first, before we do anything with planing down the door itself, I want to show you one thing to try first before you do that. This is usually takes care of the problem, but let me bring you in there. I'm going to show you what it is, and then we're going to go ahead and correct it, and hopefully get it done without planing down that door. So let's take a walk in there. I'll show you. This is the hinges on the door right here. See right up inside here, these are the hinges that actually the door opens and closes on. So what we're going to do first is we're going to check those screws to make sure that those screws are tight enough without any kind of looseness or whatever. So let me grab a screwdriver and let's try it out. Okay, so let's see what it looks like now. These are the screws that actually hold the hinge into the door frame itself. So let's try it and see if that's loose first. That's the easiest thing to do. I don't know if you can see this, can you? Yes. They're tight, and this one is not tight. That's tight, and this one is loose. Okay, see what happens is, you see this? The screw is not tight, it just keeps on spinning. Same thing here, just keeps on spinning. So somebody at one time tried to tighten this up, and when they tried to tighten it, they probably stripped out the screw, but that's not a big deal, we can correct that. So we're going to take out the two that are stripped right now. And if you look, the screws are very short. You see how short they are? That's all there is to it. There's really not a heck of a lot in there that holds it into the door itself, into the frame. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab longer screws. And what happens is when you have a door, let me bring you in and I'll explain it to you. Okay, where this door connects into the door frame here itself is only about 3/4 inch pine, so it's really not that thick, so it does strip out fairly easily, but behind that pine there's a 2x4. I'm going to show you what I mean. If you look in the back of the door right over here, the pine itself is about 3/4 of an inch thick, but the 2x4 that's in here is 1.5 inches deep. It not only is 1.5 inches, it's probably doubled up, so you probably have about 3 inches of solid beams right here that you can screw into. So we have to get through that 3/4 inch pine right here and get into that 2x4 back over there. So if we have a longer screw, we can accomplish that. So let me grab some longer screws and we'll continue. Okay, so this is the screw that was in there. This is the screw that I'm going to put in there. As you can see, it's considerably longer. I don't know if you can see that. You see the distance? It's at least 1.5 inches longer than this one here. So this is like 3/4 of an inch. This is probably about 2 inch. So this one is going to go through the pine about that far. Once it goes through the pine, it's going to dig into that 2x4 right here, and it'll pull itself in nice and tight. So let me take those other two screws out first and see if they're longer or shorter. So I have a feeling they're going to be longer because they felt fairly tight. So let me take one out and see. Okay, if you have an electric screwdriver, of course you can use that. Okay, just like I suspected, somebody did put longer screws in there. So 2 of the screws are longer, and 2 of the screws that came out were shorter. So you can see the difference right there. All right, so let me just get the screws up in there and we'll tighten this up and we'll get this job wrapped up. Okay, so one thing I forgot to tell you If you can't find screws like this in a regular big box store, you can go out and buy a hinge, and the hinges come with longer bolts in them as well. All right, so let's put these in there. We're going to be careful not to over tighten these and strip them out, okay? So if you're going to use the electric drill, be careful. I mean the electric screwdriver. If you're going to do it by hand, then of course you don't have to worry about anything. Okay, so now we have it tight. Now I will point this out to you. Most electric screwdrivers have a clutch on it. You can adjust it so that you don't strip out the screws. That's exactly what I did. But now I'm going to check it with a screwdriver just to make sure. Okay. All right, let's try it out and see if it works. Okay, so see, sometimes repairing a problem is not as bad as you think it's going to be. In this particular case, we see that it actually works perfectly. There's no problem now. It closes nice and easy, and of course it opens nice and easy. So if the screws are the short, little tiny screws, if they're little tiny screws like this, all you have to do is just go to the big box store, get a longer screw. If you get a 2-inch or 2.5 inch, or even a 3-inch, whatever you want to put in there, it'll work fine. Just remember, this one will bite only in the pine around the door itself, where the ones that are actually 2.5, 2 inches, 3 inches long, they'll go in and they'll bite into the 2x4, which is what frames out the doorway that the door goes into. All right, so that's it. We're done. All right, as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.